home requirements and training. It's just a rundown. It may seem like a rant, but if you guys have ever been in any situation like this, you're going to totally understand where I'm coming from. Now, this is basically a what to do and what not to do. Number one, if you need it, get it. If for any reason that anyone tells you that you need something, get whatever that something is. For example, if they tell you that you need dual monitors, you need 2 monitors, make sure you have 2 monitors. Of course, you're going to already have one. Make sure you have 2. If they tell you that you need a certain type of headset, try your best to get that headset. If you can't get that headset, get something close to it or talk to your recruiter. If they tell you that your internet has to be a certain speed, please make sure it's that certain speed. They're just not telling you that to make sure, you're going to have the best of the best internet service working with them. No, they have they deal with certain software that's going to pull at your internet. So just remember that. If they tell you that you need a landline, get that landline. And if you do not have that landline, see if you can go with like a digital phone line through Xfinity or something like that. And if you cannot, do not apply. I have seen this like numerous times where people come into training and they made it through the whole application process. You're in training and you can't get something that's needed on the list. Make sure you can get whatever you need if it's on that list of things to have. 2, an Ethernet cord. Basically, an Ethernet cord goes from your modem to your PC, and that's what they call hardwired. Now, a lot of positions will tell you that you need to be hardwired in order to, work for them. And that's basically just to make sure you are secure, because a lot of people will try to work off of someone else's Wi-Fi. And I'm not going to say it don't work, but that's not the most reliable thing. And you would hate to be working, someone hacks your Wi-Fi, and you're at fault for it, because I've seen a lot of people, get prosecuted because they're not doing things in a secure work environment. So if they tell you that you have to be hardwired, please be hardwired. And also, if you are hardwired, it speeds your internet up. You actually get the internet speed that you should have. Now, if you have a problem where you can't be that close to your modem, you can get a Wi-Fi extender or like a Wi-Fi pod, basically the same thing. I have an Xfinity pod, and I use it as my modem, and you can't tell that it's a pod. All you have to do is when you connect that extender, or that pod, make sure you manually turn off your Wi-Fi after you connect that cord from your pod or extender to your computer. In there, it won't look like you're on Wi-Fi. Let's see. Now, number 3, dealing with noise in your background, especially during training. I went to crisp.ai. That's KRISP.ai. You put that into your browser, and this is a way for you to have, to cancel out the noise in your background. I use that when I do my videos now. I do it when I live stream. I do it when I go through trainings. I do it when I'm going through Zoom. You can basically use this software. You download it, you put it onto your computer, and you make sure that you're using Crisp for all of your needs. Whenever you have to talk to someone in a virtual environment, you can use Crisp to cancel out the noise in your background. It works fine. It works perfect. The noise have to be really close to you, or like my phone is in front of me. You guys may hear that go off because it's so close to me. But Chris basically cancels out all noise around you. Can't ask me how I do it. I don't get it, but it works fine. And my son uses it, and he's a professional gamer. And so you can't hear anything in his background. Is at times the whole house is moving and you can't hear anything in his background. Now, the next one. If you need a webcam, make sure you get one. Now, if you need a webcam and you only need one for training, you could go anywhere and pick you up a webcam for as little as $29. Now, if you are looking for a webcam and you want like the best quality, I believe it's up in the C920 or C922, something like that. Those are really good webcams. But if they tell you that you need a webcam, you need to get it. Now, a lot of companies don't do that anymore just because a lot of people feel like you're intruding on their privacy. And I don't know if you guys are like I am, but that's the reason why my videos are basically the way they are. And I choose to do podcast formats because I don't have time now. I'm not sitting over here looking crazy, but I pull my hair back, in a ponytail or a top knot bun, and I record. Or if I'm going through training, I sit down, I do the same thing, pull my hair up, and I let have it. But if you need a webcam and you're trying to look for a really good webcam, the C920 or the C922, somewhere around that range, they are really good webcams. But if you are looking for, just any kind of webcam, something to just get connected, Logitech has really inexpensive webcams. Now, on the training side of things, if you make it through a training, now you can say that you may not be used to working from home, but if you have worked at all, or if you haven't worked at all and you are getting into working, think about when you were in school, when you went through college or some type of university, you had to listen. It's a lot of people that go through training, and some people are so busy either thinking about what they want to ask instead of just writing it down and waiting till that time comes. Or you got a lot of people that just like to talk, love to do this little banter back and forth. A training environment is not the place for that. I have been in many trainings, many different training environments. I have even asked companies, could I sit in on the training just to see how it goes so I can report back to you guys if you guys have any questions. You guys will not believe how many people during a training do not listen. This is when it comes to installing software, if it's just listening to things about the company, if it's someone going through and actually going through the training. It's a lot of people that don't listen. The biggest thing with training is listening so you can absorb the information. Let's see what else I have on my list. Now, when it's your time, make sure, before I even say that, when you're going through training, make sure that you have like a sticky note or a piece of paper or something where of the questions that you want to ask. Make sure you always pay attention to the chat, because every training environment that I've been in and that, I've been watching over, they have a chat. Most of the time there's more than one trainer there. I've never went into a training where there was only one trainer there. While you're writing down your questions, if someone else jumps in and asks a question, make sure that question was not on your list before you ask it. What happens is, if you ask a question that someone else has already asked, or that question has came up, or they went over that extensively and you was not listening, they gonna write that down on their notes. This question was already asked. This person came in, asked me the same question basically. Yes, that does happen. That's why I said listening is a must. Having attention to detail, being able to absorb information is so vital. If you keep constantly asking the same question that someone else has asked, or you think remixing your question is going to work, they write that down. And they know that you're not one of those good listeners. So just say if something comes up and they hire too many people, you probably going to be one of those people that they let go, and you're never going to even make it to production. So just think about that. When it comes to training, also, never try to help anyone else out in chat. Or if they put you in a group, never try to help anyone else out with the question. Let me put it like this. Never try to help anyone out with a question that you really don't know and that should really be asked to the trainer or recruiter. I've seen so many people do that. And what you end up doing is, just say if you think you know the answer and you answer that question, and then the trainer comes in and say, oh no, that's not correct. They write that down because, for one, you don't know what you're talking about and you answer the question, and they see that you're not retaining information as well. If it's something that has came up, if you are working for a company and they have many different clients and someone asks something about pay dates or something like that, if it's anything personal dealing with money or anything like that, what are some good shifts? Never answer that. I don't care how bad you want to answer that. Never answer anything like that. It's just in general, unless you are asked a question by the trainer, don't try to answer it, because that can put you in like a bad light. And just say if you answer a question that someone has and you don't know nothing that you're talking about, and then later on you find out that you didn't give the right answer to them and you can't remember who asked you, you got that person thinking what you said was the truth and you didn't know what you were talking about the whole time. So that's the thing. Let's see. When you're going through training and you're making it to the end, I only got one more thing after this. Now, when you're going through training and you make it to the end, and you either got to do that last exam or you're going into nesting, if it's anything that you are not clear about, and this basically is going through every day of training, but especially at the end of the week, at the end day or before nesting, if it's something that you are not clear about, please ask, especially if it's a process of something that you have to end up doing every day in that job position. Ask, because what's going to happen if you get to nesting and you don't know, and just say that don't come up, and so you feel like, okay, I didn't have to deal with that, and you go over to production and you're actually making your hourly rate wage and you're actually working and you don't know, that's going to impact you negatively. And if no one wants to help you out at that point, or you can't get help, and they said like this is something that you should have been known, you're out of there. It's on your work history. You don't listen. This is what was going on, and you're screwed. So if it's any process that you don't understand when it comes to logging into anything, any type of software, you don't understand what it's really for, please make sure you always ask. Now, the last thing, and we went over this with Crisp, please make sure your background stay quiet at all times, especially during training. Now, I've called into, and the reason why I said during training, now during your nesting and production, you don't want your background loud anyway when you're actually working. But training, you do not want your background to be noisy at all. They pick up on everything. They write it down. Even when you think Like some people come in and they won't stay on mute. They write that down. If you won't stay on mute, they will write that down and say, this person has a noisy background. If it comes up in one of your calls in the future and you're actually in production and you're actually working, they're just going to boot you out of there. But make sure your background stay quiet at all times. And during production, when you're actually working, fun fact, I call Xfinity. And I was calling Xfinity, and it was a couple of months ago to ask for a credit because our internet had went down. This lady's background was so noisy with kids. I understand what she was trying to do, so it really didn't matter to me. She didn't have any personal information besides the name and the telephone number, the address. I let her do her thing, but a lot of people will not let you buy like that. So if you're going to be working, make sure your background stay quiet. If you can utilize crisp, utilize it. If not, make sure you got you a good noise canceling headset with a mute button. And yeah, you'll be fine. That was that podcast, and I'll see you guys the next time.